G'day, friends, fans, air conditioners, and other cool units. Welcome to another Writing Corner with your host, me, the author, David Applegate, author of the book, The Boyhood of Cade, book one of The Empire of Elves. Of course, please like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Don't forget, you need full notifications if you want to know of live streams and video posts. And of course, links are in the description below. I'm not sponsored. I am funded by people like you who contribute to my Patreon. Of course, speaking of Patreon, there's a few. I can't show you let's, shall we say, adult material. Last time I showed you Cade, I have Sora, who is the Empress. Of course, she's looking mighty fine. I'll just call up share screen, and I'm not sure. Have I shown Sora before? I think I may have shown Sora before. Looking mighty fine there. One of the first images I had commissioned. But also got awesome blue dragon. That's pretty awesome. Not a bird, but a winged, feathered dinosaur. I may look small, but they're mighty, mighty mean, I tell you. Of course, we're dealing with my writing journey. And of course, part of that is creating material, source material, canon, developing characters, rules, of which how the universe works and interacts. And of course, you don't really have a story until you have who did what, to whom, why, when. Of course, it's all of the interactions, isn't it? Now, here's the thing. When you set out to write a book, you write a library. With your Tolkien, Dickens, or me, you want to know what went wrong with Star Wars? I just have to look at Wikipedia and what a mess it's become. It went from broke the first rule of writing: write what you know, write what you love. And when you have an audience, you respect the audience. If you have an audience of children, they understand they're going to grow up. They want their stories to be meatier and more adult. And if you don't meet it, you find yourself having your third movie cancelled halfway through the production. The problem with making your sequels a prequel is that people know the story, and the only reason why they would want a prequel is you didn't give enough of the journey the first time, and if you didn't give enough of the journey the first time, why Why? Just why? I mean, sometimes it works. The Harry Potter sequel slash prequel failed, whereas House of Dragons seemed to be doing quite well. And of course, it does come down to the fact that Valeria was pretty alluded to and not well described. So people wanted to see Valeria. So you give them Valeria. Knowing that's going to die doesn't matter. It's the journey, isn't it? Make the journey good enough and the audience will go for that journey. After all, the need to entertain or be entertained is quite ingrained into us. It's one of the fundamental needs, in fact, between right up there, communicating with others, entertaining others, being entertained, eating, drinking, shelter, clothing, privacy. Of course, one of the needs that we do seem to have is truth. We don't like being lied to. We can have an unreliable narrator. I suppose be clever about it and be obvious to an extent about it. But I think this week has mostly been again about editing, although I've done a little bit of world building, looking at firearms, magic, again, refining the rules of magic, trying to make sure that there are consistencies in the rules, that it's not we need to, it's got to be powerful yet subtle. It's got to be like, oh, you're the most powerful wizard in the world, but somebody puts a gun to the head and pulls the trigger. Well, they may live. I mean, we're dealing with fantasy rules here where it takes multiple gunshots to kill your basic character. I mean, let's face it, who wants to, let's treat writing as like a video game. If you're playing a video game, it's fun, one shot, one kill. You mow down the enemy, minigun. Or let's go back a bit further, Doom. The shotgun. Start with the shotgun. Boom, boom, boom. Take down some basic Marines. Get minigun. Take out some piggies. Get a rocket launcher. Take care of some barons. You're on top of the world, Ma. I'm on top of the world, Ma. But then here's the problem. You don't like it when you're one-shotted. You don't like it when you're one-shotted. It's not fun. People are gonna throw their toys out of the pram with one shot, one kills. So just balancing the rules. And that's balance comes with editing. And like I've said before, you want to write a book, be prepared to write a library. You write out people I've spoken to. Recently spoke to today, actually, with Paul Stanton. And yes, so interesting interview. So the video just before this, actually. And pretty much, yeah, we talked about stuff. And of course, he edited his book 15 times. And you've got to be able to say to yourself, well, if I edit it any further, I'm going to tarnish the polish. I'm going to tarnish it, I'm going to rub the surface clean off, So, but as I said before, people don't like being lied to. And you feel lied to when your main character, let's see, who's the worst main character? Superman, no, he's been pretty refined, actually. He's not uber invincible anymore. Been pretty refined. He's tough. He has some tough problems to face. He's been well refined over the years, so I don't know why the movies can't catch up with him. But Neo's journey, pretty rapid ascent. Only a few missions and he's level 50. Superman. Oh, Super Seons. Super AI viruses. It didn't even, didn't even knock my sunglasses off. Now, don't blame Keanu Reeves. You just look at him you look at him at John Wick. Fast, physical. He outruns, he outpaces, he outshoots. And you feel the tension. He's got to get away. He's shot, he's injured, he falls, he hurts himself. Injuries matter. So you got to make sure your character's not. I mean, here's the problem. And you write an adult novel and change it into a children's book and pretty much make it a power fantasy. And yeah, sometimes it works. Most times it doesn't. Most times it doesn't. But the amount of power fantasy books, I believe, they're growing, diluting every franchise, reducing it to the lowest common denominator, and so many books are the same now. It's scary. This is why Agatha Christie, Dickens, Arthur C. Clarke, George Orwell, Tolkien last. The audience doesn't like to be lied to, and the authors, they knew that. They don't make their characters ultimately invincible, and they overcome their flaws, but they're never perfect at the end. They don't achieve perfection either. Bilbo Baggins. He lied about having the ring, and he gave it to Frodo, knowing it needed to be destroyed, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. Frodo knew he had to be the one to redeem Bilbo, to take that burden. And Sam, he knew he had to carry his brother. He offered to take the ring, and when he knew that it shocked him that Frodo had become more and more like Gollum, he stuck with him, but he carried him to the end. Those flaws, those character moments, those come through editing. Sometimes having good friends to read to and read with, to share your work. Of course, it would be nice to make a living from our work, to have a hobby and make a living from it. I love writing. I wish I had started sooner. The stories, they're like, I'm sweating them. Even now, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about Cade and his journey. His journey just has begun. It's good to be the king. And right now, it does seem like he's abusing his power, and people are rather tolerant. I mean, how tolerant or how long? I'm trying to gauge that and trying to work his transformation and see where his journey goes. Do I go for his journey as he's to be an officer and a gentleman in the newly formed Space Marines, or shall he be a go to wizarding school and be a lounge lizard? A lounge lizard wizard. I think it was lizard wizard. Of course, you get the feeling he's not the type of guy to lay idle. So, but see, if I do wizarding, if I do his education as a wizard, it comes off as Harry Potter-esque, like the recent both the school for peculiar children. Although wasn't that actually written before Harry Potter? I know I know there's a few that have been compared to Harry Potter, yet they came first. I hate comparisons to something famous when the famous work is derived from the material you're comparing it to. But I was just trying to think, probably come to me later, a series I read, and I thought it was brilliant. Young man is thrown into the world of wizarding. He's come from a normie's background, and sort of like Willow, he's pretty much put to the magical test, and he's looking around and he's trying to think the most powerful. He's thought at first of saying it's the teacher, and he just shrugs and I don't know. It's told us down, and eventually, of course, the learns that the most powerful lesson is that you never give up. You're only defeated when you give up. So that's our journey, isn't it? We're only defeated when we give up. That's the most powerful. But of course, it comes back to what I said. You start off with writing a library. Do they have cars? What's the technology? How do they communicate? Vast distances. Sometimes some things is easy, and it is tempting to take a popular book, deconstruct it, take the look for the lowest common denominator, inciting incident. Boy loses parents. That is so cliche. That's one of the first things I did when I picked up Harry Potter. Boy loses parent. Awkward shy boy kisses girl. Later she marries somebody else. Oh, What a shock. How cliche. And I was surprised Harry didn't have an affair with Hermione, but it was always implied that he did. So later it was put it back in. It was actually taken out. But yes, Harry Potter was dumbed down for children. Was originally an adult book dumbed down for children. It had silly things that were cut out for the movies, like spew. My sister, I know a lot about Harry Potter because my sister was a huge fan. That's not a fat joke. I for her birthday, I bought her the Harry Potter trivia book, and she said, "Ask me any question." Handed it to me and said, "Ask me any question." I did. I don't think she got one wrong. She was quite well versed, and she was quite proud of being a Potterhead. And somehow with everything, I don't think. I don't. Oh, maybe Ron's. What's Ron's brother's name? Which is one of the twins died, and all those things. No, I probably know Harry Potter, and that's it. Couple of names, that's it. I'm not interested, and I'm not interested in writing a Harry Potter book or being a Harry Potterhead, but I'm also understand that it's a fandom that has very protective fans, like Star Wars has protective fans. I wouldn't call Star Wars fans toxic. Fans don't like being lied to. If Chewbacca, the Wookiee, proud Wookiee, who does not collect materialistic things like medals, that the courage and honor is recognized through your peers, not through something stamped on your chest. Why they took that out? Why in the original Star Wars that was Marsha? I think they were cut for time, and I think happens to everybody. You do 15 edits and see if you can remember which version is what. And I think nobody questioned it at the time. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that 20 odd years later, people still bitch. Well, the Wookiee only got a medal in a retcon. No, he's too proud to take a medal. I find it ridiculous in Star Wars, a solo story about the space Leviathan. The Leviathan being a octopus, I believe. No, it could have been a squid. No, pretty much an octopus, I think. But the point being, there have been established Leviathans in the past, notably in the original movie where they're hiding the Millennium Falcon in an asteroid field, and it turns out to be a worm's mouth. Not a worm. More like an eel. And I do believe there was actually a turtle, space turtle, that was taken out because of it was too referencey to a Japanese movie at the time or something, and George Lucas already had outstayed his welcome with his, let's say, homage to the Hidden Fortress. But let's see. Is there a reason to re-edit those movies and add a few digital scenes? No, I didn't think so. Or digitally edit a Wookiee medal with a medal? No, I don't think so. Poor Javas. People actually were they all wiped out? I don't know. I think they were. But imagine the Javas. That was their homework, man. But Lucas, he loved them references, didn't he? Of course, he's a big hypocrite, but he loves them references. Geez, George, out of all those billions of dollars got, how much did you give to Alan Dean Foster? What did Disney settle for? $1 million? At the end of the day, those who scream the loudest are the most guilty, I believe. Now, when it comes to editing, of course, 3 things I recommend. Beta reading. Have at least 6. Try. Sometimes you'll only have 1. But see how you go. Beta reading. Don't trust Microsoft Editor. Sorry, Microsoft, you just, even with your new AI updates, now Grammarly is an AI online editor. Grammarly, 99%. So what do? Well, you have a second one. Personally, I use ProWritingAid. Again, this is a ProWritingAid is rated one of the best grammar checkers, but for style, I use Grammarly, then ProWritingAid, because now and again they don't pick up on. There's a lot of words they don't pick up on, and plus the use of English and slang and a few other things, you're gonna have to use your own best judgment to click ignore. But first pass, basic spelling, no, hit Microsoft Editor and just go toink, 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 20, 30 spell checks later. I think this month, so far, I've hit 150, 160 edits, mistakes, sorry, during 15 edits that I haven't finished. It's actually rare to not be finished by now. Usually I can get at least, I'm trying to get more than 1 chapter done a month, but I at least should have been started on the next chapter. It's just sometimes things happen. That's why you always want to be ahead when you're editing and writing. But we'll see. See how it goes. I'm trying to write stories with meat and substance to them beyond throbbing, beyond throbbing rods and deep, delicious moans. But there are fans of. When it comes to matters of taste, the customer's always right. I am writing ultimately for myself, and here I am talking to myself. It is nice when the audience talks back, but it's okay. We love you. We love you all the same. Perhaps when I finish this story, we'll go back and ask. But like I said, I've just got so much. I'm just wondering if I should make Psycho Killer, Arcade, Antagonist. I don't know yet. Should know. I've still got things to wrap up with Cade. Sometimes I wonder, of course, if things have been different. A lot of writers I speak to do say it's, publication deals, 40 with Paul, 40 years of trying and success. Yeah, failure is immediate. Success takes time. So that's, I'm not giving up. You hear me? You hear me, Dad? I'm not giving up. Of course, people who do ask about my father say, he passed away, and they say, sorry, says, why, you didn't kill him. Some people think that's a joke in poor taste, but, it's true. You didn't kill him. So there's always that. Do not dishearten. Do not mourn what you don't have or can't have. Try to set realistic goals and all these things, and that's, one day, take it one day at a time. I'm fortunate to have a pretty decent artist to provide helps with the material. And shout out to Doug over at Facebook there. Still watching, Doug? I hope so. Says somebody's watching on Facebook Live. Thank you, Facebook. Don't forget to leave the like and a thumbs up. And yeah, when we're thinking of the story, but I think my best writing, I think probably between midnight and 2 a.m., sometimes as late as 3 a.m. Sometimes I'll take a nap and then wake up about, do some writing between 11 and 12 and have another nap and then do some more writing. So about 2-3 writing sessions of about between 20 minutes and an hour a day, sometimes longer, with the biggest session being a couple of hours. Couple of hours after midnight, and because I think we write our best when we're relaxed, when we're not stressed, and it does. The when it comes to writing, that's why I also say you've got to write a library, because you've got to write, get used to writing, make writing a habit, and also get in the habit of editing your own material. You know what you wrote, you know what you intended, and when the editor throws you something back in your face with question marks all over it, it's too late. It's best done chapter by chapter, as you're doing it, as you're writing it, as you are thinking, as you are creating, as you are putting down your thoughts, your notes. You don't want to write the whole book and then have it come back and say, chapter 6, what did you mean by he gave a sly grin? What's he grinning about? Yeah, that's not the answer you want to give. He gave a sly grin when? What was he grinning at? Was he grinning at her agreement, or was he grinning at her tits? Or the fact that he was reading her mind? And well, yes, that's it. That was it. Try the basics. I think you'll know it. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Which went to the witchering. Whether or not the weather changed, the weather shall weather the weather. And if you don't know, weather can refer to a sheep, and weather can mean withstand, and the weather can mean the climate. So such a yes, which is which weather, the weather, and of course, which when, where, why, how, who, why. Always juggling in there. The best villains have motives. Why is Megamind a villain? And picked on, bullied, left out. If anybody's seen Megamind, there's a good redemption story right there. Well made, well made. Underrated movie, of course, because it wasn't actually enough, and Superman wasn't exactly admirable. People hate it when characters change too much. It's the audience says. That's why the audience doesn't like being lied to. But subverting expectations, that sometimes can be done if it's subtle and there's a reason. Of course, there's many reasons, isn't there? So when you're editing, think about the who, what, when, why, and how of characters' motives. I'm trying to make sure that, and I like writing just from the perspective of the characters and where they're at, and trying to keep just enough information there to understand what's happening without, because I want you reacting as the character's reacting and understand to what he's reacting to. You're reacting if you've seen the villain's perspective and then the character informed. It's now here's the problem. Books, introduction of the inciting incident, interaction of the main character, interaction with the villain, overcoming the obstacle, defeating the villain. Whereas a movie, 8. So see a lot of movies, and you may not actually see it, but the walk and talk, man, it really fills up. Really fills up. I went back over some stuff like Lethal Weapon. Man, there's so little action, so much talking. It's amazing. But if you could just you edit and polish the dialogue right, you keep the audience entertained. See, the idea originally with action movies was, in order to make the action impactful, it had to be short and sharp and sparse. But I think what happened was, now this is not one movie. It's not just Commando. It's a whole bunch of movies that come out at once. Aliens, Commando, Predator, some extent Lethal Weapon, where though the amount of action wasn't short and sharp. It wasn't the 1, 2, 3 and boss. It was each out of the 8 stages of a movie were all punctuated with action. And I think ultimately, like, other than occasionally, like Riggs is in his house and it gets shot up. That's a perfect example of, yeah. See, so often when the villain defeats the hero and leaves him alive, it's so cliche. Shoots him. Let's see, long kiss goodnight. She's shot, falls off a cliff. Didn't see it. I don't. No, she's shot, thrown in the back of a car, and then thrown off a cliff. Right. Another one where Brian Cox's character is shot. She's thrown in the drown. It's sometimes it can work like that. It worked there, but then with Cutthroat Island, it just didn't work. And I think when you use the same things on the same character more than once, like being missed every time, I have it in my mind. I could see it where this guy, he's running through his life, and the enemy is shooting bullets, and you see the traces, and you see the ting, 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 and you just know it reminds you of the A-Team, and it really just took all the oxygen out of the room, and it just deflated it. It just killed it just pretty much killed the series. I just can't think of it right now. It was a Vietnam War series, and I didn't just kill that series. I think it killed a lot. Really killed it. And of course, then Hollywood tried to jump to Iraq War movies, and the best they could do was Zero Dark 30, I think, basically. But you know, the hero dodging bullets, but a line of squibs. It just so A-Teamish, you know. It's Transformers where everybody's going pew pew pew, but you see the explosions on the ground. It's like, what are you aiming at? Just lift the 20 degrees up angle. If you're aiming here like this, and your bullets hit the ground because the trace is like that, up angle 20 and pooh, oh, right in the middle of center chest. I mean, even kids, just don't lie to the audience. I think that's the problem. Too many things are cartoonish these days, and I don't like it. That's why I write adult seeds. That's why I try. It's so hard to avoid those silly moments. But are people really? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. That's all they want. Silly. But I'm not writing for the audience. I'm writing for me, and I've had a few people like what I've written. So thank you to those who have taken the time to tell me they like my writing. Take those few who've taken the time to write a review, particularly those who weren't asked to write one. Thank you. I mean, a couple of you wrote 5-star reviews without being asked for and without being paid. Those are the best kind. The people who on Patreon have paid me real money, shared my work. People have taken the time through your week to pay attention to this video. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you, because you're the real fans. You're the real people who appreciate beyond just consume product. Of course, there are beyond my skill, like John Carter of Mars. I saw that and I loved it. And I couldn't see why people didn't. And then I just saw today a video on it and I thought, wow, it came in under budget. It was made without drama. It was made on time. The cast had a good time. There were very few incidents on set. And here's the problem. Because there was no on-set drama to write about, Variety made stuff up. Because there was no immediate press releases from Disney. This is why these days Disney overload the press with press releases. This is why directors, actors, actresses, even the grip are all giving interviews. This is why their YouTube channels are full of material. But also, this is why we have endless remakes and endless reboots, because Disney had the rights to a lot of IPs, and the sequels weren't well received, or the original wasn't well received. Now, the problem with John Carter was quite simple. They never responded to criticism. Their marketing was bare minimum. They were promoting other movies and toys for other movies at the same time. Disney were juggling too many IPs. And when they figured that out, they said, we're not making any more IPs. They're not taking on any more. In fact, they started shedding. They shed, as you famously know, they let Winnie the Pooh lapse and many others. They may actually lose a lot more IPs, not by choice, but financially, this is the problem. Financially, it's never-ending stories don't pay out in the end. Look at Beauty and the Beast. Good item. Yeah, we have one good live action that made a lot of money, but what about the rest of the projects that came after? Test audiences walked out of the second, so the sequel was dropped. Like I said, you can't lie to your audience. And if your character's a one-trick pony, he gets the girl. That's all. His entire story is just about getting the girl. Well, it's like a romance. It's like a romance novel. The sequel to a romance is pornography. There's no expectations. It's like war stories, sometimes detective stories, most often. But there are romances stories that seem to get sequels and work. But they seem to be far and few between, and very few characters have a good romantic story that goes beyond a couple of books. Sometimes you get an amazing action adventure character like John Carter, who, spawned 15 novels, I think. And the inspiration behind John Carter is Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Indiana Jones and Flash Gordon. And Flash Gordon is it's also helped inspire Lucas, because they went to film school and they studied all these and they deconstructed them, and they took their deconstructions home and they wrote a new script. That's how it goes. Shakespeare, people deconstruct Shakespeare, like hundreds just from Macbeth. Actually, I believe somebody said Macbeth is the most reconstructed movie. play, movie, and books. Hundreds, but just in movies alone, over 400 movies that can be attributed to Macbeth. I mean, wow. Imagine Shakespeare if he just make J.K. Rowling look like a like a pauper. Of course, there are other mistakes to make, like let's say you're into book 9 and you announce book 10 is the last one. People might actually, okay, the series is waning. Here, but I'm on book 7 or book 8, and I gave up. But then I hear that book 10 is going to be the last. I might buy the next couple of books. But let's say book 10 comes out, and then it says, "Oh, 2 more, maybe," and then it comes out, and then you let it lie for a while, and then you go, "Oh, here's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18." You start to see the audience doesn't like to be lied to, whether it's changing the character's motives, or being unreliable with the canon. I mean, I saw a good meme for Star Wars, Order 66. Luke, you're the last one. Oh, there is another. And like then it's then in the next frame, it's like this big poster of like how many Jedi survived the Order? Well, wasn't there only originally 100 or so Jedi? And there's more survived the Order than in the original Jedi Council. I mean, it's like it's so sad. But then they justify by saying, "Oh, Anakin only killed the younglings." Yeah, well, we also, or then he only killed the. No, I think people already were losing their suspension of disbelief with Order 66, the Jedi. They didn't see it coming. And then, because they're all talking about, oh, the Sith, we can't see. So, shouldn't you be paranoid? Shouldn't you? But no, here's Trojan horse. No, no. Look at this wonderful horse, everybody. The Greeks, they're our best friends. They give us this horse. And everybody else is going, what? But, so be it. It's, I can understand they haven't heard of Greeks and Trojan horses, so they take on the clone army without even the slightest inkling. But I mean, again, sometimes the parodies or the spoofs or they do better than the make the. I just don't understand. But there are ways to make your book popular, and one of them is to be consistent, be yourself, and be as approachable to people as you can. And I'm trying. I'm really trying. It's a journey. It's a journey of self improvement and improve my writing. I'm trying to improve myself, and hopefully I have done that. I've improved my writing and improved myself, and in a couple of just over a week will be I hopefully will be posting in 2nd of May. Yes, 2nd of May. Just gonna quickly check it. Couldn't remember. Yeah, actually, yeah. In 9 days, it is over a week. 9 days, I'll be posting the chapter. I should easily have it edited and easily be ready onto the next and have material already. And I will be posting maybe some other miscellaneous material. I don't know yet. I hopefully will have a new CAID in a week's time. And I've got some dwarves, some giants. No, dwarves. I've got a giant coming, and I hopefully get some few giants. And so yeah, and then work on some other characters, and hopefully resolve the erotic tales with a satisfying ending, and work on what is next. Cade's got to get an education. That's about a year. Or do I make it for officers? Do I make it officers training or a magic school? I've alluded to a magic school, but I'm thinking it should be more like a military academy, not a Harry Potter-esque child fantasy. Because I'm sorry, if you like Harry Potter, I'll shut the fuck up and I'll never mention again. But I'm just so I can't think of anything else right now to give you a cultural reference, and I hate that. I hate when I remember the good old days in the 90s when you were talking about action movies or even fantasy movies. You talk about fantasy. You had He-Man, you had She-Ra, you had Lord of the Rings. Well, it's not Lord of the Rings. Sorry, you had The Hobbit. You had many. You had Willow. You had so many things to talk about. Now all we have is this monolithic attitude in society where we have to collectivize everything into one lowest common denominator. Everybody likes this or else. Marvel v DC. Why must Marvel fans shit on DC fans? Why are they so obsessed with trying to tear down what other people like? That's why I don't like Marvel fans. But DC fans can shoot back. So they make themselves a target. You want to be popular, be yourself, and don't count how popular you are. I mean, because whether it drives people away or the hurt when you have made your identity about being popular, and then you don't have any friends because they weren't. I want my fans to be fans. I don't want my fans to be friends. But if you're a friend, you're a friend. If you're a fan, kind respect. But if you're a fan for life, that's so be it. But I don't want to take my fans for granted. I don't want to take my friends for granted. I want to force the friends to be fans and fans to be friends. Especially the fact that fans can be too numerous to remember. So thank you all for listening, and I shall see you all next week. Bye now.